Welcome back to the shop. It's good to see you again. This week I thought I'd make a little video on how to use these sort of machines, CNC mills, in a sort of semi-manual way. If you're doing something really simple, you don't need to break out your CAD/CAM package and get stuck into a full-on design session. If you just want to square up a bit of stock or face something off or drill a couple of holes in certain places, it's easier to use your control system and just either manually put the data in, or just over type it as you go along. So what we're going to do today is, this is a little chunk of aluminium. It will be an XLR, which is an audio connector standoff, for this panel, so that I can fit just here, I don't know if you can see that, yeah, just here, a USB socket. I don't have enough depth at that point in the panel to fit the XLR USB socket and clear the cable in the back. So that's what this little part will be, but we're just going to basically not even face it off. We're just going to literally just face one side off parallel to another side, so that I can then grip it in the vise to do the subsequent machining operations. It's a really simple job to do. In a manual machine it's a piece of cake. In one of these it's a bit more complicated, but let's roll the titles and see what you think. First up is to select the MPG mode on the control panel. On the MPG you can select which axis you want to move and how many pulses per step you generate. I bought this vise several years ago because I had a manual mill at the time and it seemed like a good deal. It's a swivel vise, so you can swivel it with respect to its base. Kind of superfluous nowadays with a CNC. Yeah, I'd use the DTI to get the vise reasonably straight. It's not that important for this job because the stock I'm using is a little bit bigger than it needs to be, so if I'm out by a degree or two, it doesn't matter. The part will still be square when it's done. This cutter is one I made in one of my earlier videos. I'll see if I can put a link up for you to go and have a look at it if you're interested. It's a bit brutal, even for a little mill like this. It can really rip material off. And now into CNC mode. Loading up the Mark III control system. And resetting the machine by pressing reference all home. Not strictly necessary for this because we're well within the work envelope of the machine and we know we're not going to crash it on its end stops, so you don't need to, but it's good practice to keep doing it. This part isn't particularly square to start with, so bending it onto the parallels is a bit hit and miss, if you pardon the pun. Also useful to check you haven't got any lippy on your teeth. We've moved to the MDI screen on Mark III, manual data input, and we're just simply typing in commands to get the mill to do what we want it to do. So in this case it's M3 S900, which means start spindle clockwise at speed 900 RPM, followed by M8, which is the command to turn the flood coolant on. Then we have G1 Z-2 F30, which stands for G1 is move at feed rate to Z minus 2 millimeters in this case at a feed of 30 millimeters per minute. So it takes it a few seconds to get to the bottom. I've speeded this section up. Once at depth, we simply hit G1 X0 F50. So again, G1 is move at feed rate to position X0. We know that we've moved 94 millimeters or so to the left, so we now need to go back to the X0 position, which is where the cutter clears the work on the other side at a feed rate of 50 millimeters per minute. Again, a sped up sequence because it took 2 or 3 minutes and it's a bit dull to watch. And the final commands are G0 Z50, M9 and M5. G0 is move at rapids to Z50, which is 50 mil or 2 inches above the zero datum, i.e. the top of the work surface, and then M9 stops the coolant and M5 stops the spindle. That's it, you're finished. A quick deburr the edges on the belt sander, linisher, whatever you want to call it, and then a quick check with the calipers just to make sure that the 2 faces that I need to grip in the vise for the next operation are parallel, and we're done, good to go. Not a bad finish. So there we have it, 1 block of alley ready for the next operation. I do hope that was self-explanatory. In video terms, I think it's probably getting on for 10 minutes, around that. In reality, it took me probably a couple of hours to film. If I was doing it manually without recording it and editing it and all the palaver that goes with making videos, you're talking, what, 10 or 12 minutes worth of work, which is not dissimilar to doing it manually. It's a bit slower, but to be perfectly honest, you can use these machines in a manual way. I mean, if you really want to go to the absolute most basic manual way, you can literally use an MPG. Oh, if you select it, that is MPG, and literally machine by hand. This is no different to winding a handle on the end of the bed, but it's a bit hit and miss. Keeping a constant speed is tricky, so therefore getting a decent finish is not easy. Doing it in the CNC world means that you can just feed that at a constant speed, which results in quite a nice finish generally. So thanks for watching. I hope you haven't been too bored with it, and do hit the bell and subscribe banner, and we'll see you on the next one when we turn this into the standoff. Yeah, stay tuned. That'll be next week.